Americans in general are only going to be left with service-oriented jobs.
Right.
We lag far behind from an educational standpoint and a technical standpoint with the rest of the world.
Right.
I mean, these jobs, the technical aspect, and even the health field, this is pretty much left to Indians, Pakistanians, and the Chinese.
Right.
The job market today is very different than it was when I started out 1,000 years ago. But one of the things that I've noticed about young people is the incredible amount of flexibility that's required in the workplace environment today. 20 years ago, when I got out of law school, if you knew how to interpret the law and write a good brief, you were pretty much golden.
Right.
As I have gone throughout my career, I realized that you have to be flexible and you really have to manage your career more, because the thought that you would come into a job and keep it for 25, 30 years, that doesn't happen anymore.
Right.
So young people have to be very focused on obtaining skill sets that allow them to be flexible.
Yes.
One of those things is organizational abilities, being able to organize one's work, being able to organize the people that one works with is very important. The ability to work within a team environment, because most people will be in some sort of team throughout their career.
Right.
So being able to work with others, very important. I remember in kindergarten you got that little grade for works and plays well with others. That's important. That's important. And you don't think about that.
I never did that well in that.
Then you need to be an individual contributor. Because there's something for everybody, but more and more people are required to be able to get along well with others.
Right.
I think the other thing that's important is project management skills, which means the ability to actually execute on a project plan according to schedule and being punctual. So those sorts of things, regardless of what field you're in, are going to be very, very important in the workforce of tomorrow.
Certainly.
Marketing is going to be really important. Companies are always looking to build their brands.
Right.
You know, people are, I would say 50%, probably from here on out, over 50% of all new jobs, of all new companies being created are being created by people of color. African Americans, Asian Americans, Latino Americans across the board. So you have a lot of companies that are being created year in and year out. And that's not going to change anytime soon. So they all need to have their brand. They all need to build their brands.
Okay.
You know, they're all creating products. They're all creating businesses. They need somebody who understands how to market their products. Whether they're building restaurants, apartment buildings, whatever their company is, they need to build their brand, their identity in the marketplace. They need people who understand how to take their TV show, their record label, their car company, their laundromat, their whatever their company is, and relate that message to people. So getting into the marketing industry, that's a huge opportunity for young people of color. Just people across the board, but people of color in particular.
No doubt.
Real estate. People got to have places to live. People got to understand land, whether it's apartments, condos, homes. That's a huge opportunity. People are getting older. People are getting sicker. So the healthcare industry is huge. Those are huge opportunities, whether you want to be a nurse, a doctor, anything to do with healthcare, technology, the internet, any web-based business. Those are huge. Those are three really big industries.
Now, all the jobs that you're listing, they take a certain level of specific knowledge and expertise and a specific skill level. So how do you think people are going to get from the point of, especially with the school systems in the state that they're in, and there's not as much resources being devoted to that, to get from point A in searching for the job and point B being able to fulfill those kind of positions and having the skill sets to go with those kind of things?
It's going to be really competitive. It is really competitive out there, and I think kids definitely need to. Definitely have to finish high school. Traditional four-year colleges. The education system has just become a business. And that's how a lot of four-year colleges and universities are running. They're treating students, prospective students. They're treating y'all like customers, and they're just looking for customers with the most money.
Right.
And they're not necessarily looking for the best students. They're looking for folks with the most money that can afford the product. Do your research. Look for. There's nothing wrong with, with community college. I mean, some people still have this mindset that going to a 2-year college is a bad thing.
Yeah.
You can get a really good education from a lot of 2-year colleges.
Yeah.
Look into training to specific training programs,
right.
Whether it's an IIT or look into just career-specific training programs. Look into getting a real estate's license. Look into, if you want to go into the IT or into the IT market, look into studying specific computer programs. Everybody should be computer literate. There's no excuse for that, especially with as much money as black folks are spending on video games and just cell phone technology. We spend billions of dollars a year on video games and cell phones and stuff like that to not know how to use a computer, to not know how they work. There's just no excuse for it. Yeah. Invest that money. Invest the money and the time and learn how to use a computer. Get the training. You don't have to go to a 4-year college to do that.
And with that, and that was going to be like related to my next question, I definitely did getting a certification and degrees, but for like people who won't be able to have access to even that, what kind of choices do you think would be like for left for those individuals? Like generations past, you could get by with a high school degree, or not even graduate from high school, get you a good manufacturing job, and make a decent living and be able to support a family. So for people who don't have access to education, who aren't able to get certification for some type of computer class or what have you, what kind of choices do you think that they're going to have in the next 10, 15, 20 years?
The government's not going to do it for you. They ain't trying to do it for you. One of the things that used to happen in generations past was the government used to do stuff like that for you. They used to do that for the society at large. They used to make sure that the school system taught you that was worked into the school system, where basic, where what they felt would be like basic tools were worked into your curriculum. That's just not the case anymore. They're outsourcing a lot of that stuff. You got, for example, India, which is, Southeast Asia. 1 billion people in India. India graduates more master's degrees.
Good night, Irene.
India graduates more folks with master's degrees than we graduate college graduates.
Wow.
From 29 states.
They got a lot of those jobs.
Yeah. We are outsourcing. They set aside special visas to bring people from India who have special IT training here just for that. They ain't trying to train Americans. Right. They ain't trying to train Americans to do these jobs. They want people who can do the job cheap.
Right.
They would rather have people in prison answering phones than teach a kid in high school how to answer a phone. And they do. There are sometimes when you call customer service, regardless of what you're calling customer service for.
Yes.
And whether you know it or not, and they won't say it, there are sometimes the guy on the other end is an inmate.
If you were 25 and going into the job market again, what things would you do differently that you didn't do the first time? Knowing some of the things that you present in your book.
I would know the difference between ethics and morals. That was the first thing. That was probably the biggest thing that I learned, is that one of the things that I saw on the streets is that a lot of people were dealing drugs, and they just accepted that because it was what other people were doing, and they felt like, okay, well, most of my guys that dealt, we had rules. There were, we wouldn't sell to younger people, we wouldn't sell around schools, wouldn't even sell on Sundays, stuff like that. And that was a code of ethics. You had rules within the game.
Right.
But we're still drug dealers.
Right.
When you get into the corporate world, I've done a lot of stuff in terms of selling products and building brands that were not cool, in terms of